TWT Part 2, Tales with Tomaz. I'm here with Dan, and Dan has encouraged and inspired me to just share some of the things that I have come across on my journey of awakening. So Dan, what would you like to know today?
I would like to know a bit more about your childhood, and I just wonder whether you've always had a strong sense of intuition.
Okay, I guess so. I guess I had, but at the time I didn't really realize that it was intuition and I had no clue of what to do with it. So I remember when I grew up, we had this little dog. It was a black, fluffy dog. His name was Mopsy. I called him Mopsy. I don't know why, but I called him Mopsy. And he was a very lively little creature, I can say. And he liked to play, and it was a puppy basically when we got him. And he wasn't the most. It was difficult to tame him initially, as you have with a puppy. Cut a long story short, he enjoyed food, and he enjoyed jumping up on people and eating their food and trying to get their breads out of their hands. And so we had big arguments in my family. Are we going to keep the dog? Are we not going to keep the dog? And he was quite naughty as well. He ran away a couple of times, and then we got him back. And so in the end, I really took to the dog and I loved him. And I remember one day I was in kindergarten, and I loved going to kindergarten because it was playtime for me, really enjoying being with other kids, playing around. And I remember clearly that morning I did not want to go to kindergarten. I was just like throwing tantrums all over the place, and I was screaming. And I remember my mom telling me, what is going on with you? Why I don't want to go? And so I really resisted in going. Anyway, they took me to kindergarten, and because I was screaming and I didn't behave, the teacher in the kindergarten, she asked me for the entire session in the morning. So the morning session, I think we got in around 8:30, 8:45, until 12 or 12:30, until somebody picked us up. So she asked me to stand in the corner and to face the wall. So I was not allowed to interact with any other people, with any other of my friends. And I had to just face the wall because I didn't behave properly. And I was screaming, and I really was upset and crying. And they literally had to drag me into kindergarten. Then, when my family came and picked me up, I don't quite remember who picked me up, my father or my mom, or I don't remember. I got home and Mopsy was gone.
Oh.
So I was very upset, and I remember I have asked my mom, my father, where is he? Where is he? And then they said, oh, he had run away. And I knew that it wasn't the truth. He hadn't run away. So something must have happened. And it was only later that I found out that actually my father organized a forest ranger to look after Mopsy and actually to get rid of him.
So not to look after him, to take care of him,
basically,
as in with a gun.
Yes.
My God.
So I guess that was, at the time, I mean, it was really quite horrendous and it was really quite traumatic for me. I only found out a couple of months later. I think one of my brothers had told me, because I've got the 4 elder brothers, and they always tried to make me upset whenever they could. So they waited for the right moment to basically tell me what was happening. So I guess that was really the very first time that I actively remember where I had a clear intuitive sense that something is up I knew that they did something with the dog, or was planning something with the dog, and I did not listen to it. I mean, how could I? I was maybe 5 years old at the time. So I guess the takeaway from this one is that if you have children, really encourage them at a very, very young age to listen to their intuitive self, and to make them feel appreciated and heard. And even as an adult, just trust your intuitive self. And if you don't know if it is intuition or anything else, just sit in silence for a couple of minutes and see where it resonates. Does it resonate as a truth that comes from deep within, not from outside of us, but from deep within? Then it's very likely to be something that is arising from your intuitive self. So there we go.
Would you say that intuition is what people commonly refer to as a gut feeling? Or is it something different in your...
Yes, I guess we know it commonly as a gut feeling. But I think it's much more than a gut feeling. It's a really strong knowing, because there's a difference between feeling and knowing. Feeling is something, I just sense that there's something quite not right here. But I think intuition, really taking you to a next level, is really a sense of truly knowing that something is up. And that's an unshakable truth that comes from deep within, that we can't explain.
So for people who are watching your channel and they want to get more in touch with their intuitive side, you've said sit in silence, but what other tools or what other things could people be doing to build that relationship between them and their intuitive side?
Of course, meditation, using breath work to calm down the mind. But meditation is very good. But also another very good exercise could be maybe just randomly write numbers on pieces of paper, small snippets of paper, maybe between 1 and 9 or 1 and 10, or random letters. Put the cards upside down and then just go over with your hand and try to sense any images, any pictures. I think that takes probably intuition onto another level, onto exploring the senses beyond the intuitive self. So clear audience, clear vision, clear sentience, and clairvoyancy, basically.
That sounds very exciting. It reminds me of that documentary I saw, I think it was on Gaia or something, about the college where they're teaching children and adults to read books whilst wearing a blindfold. So yeah, definitely taking intuition to a higher level. That sounds like a very fun exercise.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's time that we, well, it is happening anyway, that we are introducing those aspects into education. But again, if I go back to that, it was a very traumatic event, and if I had an ear to that somebody would listen at the moment in time, it probably wouldn't have had that traumatic effect on me. But because nobody was listening, my parents at the time, they didn't really pay attention to what was going on, at least what was going on within me, and that would have helped me, really. So
what if you'd had someone to listen to your concern?
Yeah, and then talk about it, and then maybe rationalize it, or but in a way it happened because it had to happen. And it's not easy for a little child like that to actually get over that trauma. So I'm not blaming, there's no blame anymore. It's like a wonderful way of those stepping stones that help us on our path to grow. So it's not about, oh, they shouldn't have done this or shouldn't have done that, but it's just, reflecting back on the intuitive nature that is there within us at a very early age. And if we foster it as parents, and if we nurture it, as caregivers, for example, if you look after children or
Mhm.
whatever, then it is a wonderful potential for the children to just have that gift with them, and that can rescue them, that can help them on many different stages in their life,
Sure.
to prevent from things going wrong if they listen
Absolutely.
to their intuitive self.
When they're faced with certain decisions in life, for
Yeah.
example. Yeah.
I mean, and also quite funny, my uncle, he used to tease me all the time, and then he used to ask me, so who are you gonna marry when you are old? And this was another thing. At the time, I always kept on telling him, I will marry a woman that is older than me. And they were always laughing. And it was only more than 10 years later, in actual fact, it turned out that I was actually getting married to a woman that was older than me.
How much older?
Well, shall we leave that for the time when we move towards the timeline? When I share that
for
story?
a later installment.
For a
Okay.
later installment?
That sounds very interesting.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Tomaz.
My pleasure.